Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is a quick video that I wanted to release before I'm assuming we're going to get some details about ranked or about the full list of cards in the next set. So I don't have anything ready production wise, but I do want to spend some time on this article published by PokeZone or Pokemon Zone. And this is going to be somebody that goes by the name of Frost22, and they went ahead and shared this earlier today. So this is like really fresh, but basically there was a TCG Pocket event at the Stockholm regionals, and this is like literally this past weekend. So it went really under the radar because you'll find out why here in terms of the participants, but it wasn't reported on like pretty much anything that I came across on the internet until like literally just like 30 minutes ago. So what I want to do is kind of just run through this, and then obviously I'll leave the link to the article in the description so you can check that out on your own as well. And it is worth noting I've contributed to Pokemon Zone a few different times for tier list. They do a great job of updating. You know, if the cards get leaked, they've got them on the website. They've got some great article contributors as well. And then obviously the tier list that they tend to put out a few times during the meta. So definitely a great resource for you. But let's just dive in. So basically, this person showed up to a regional, just kind of just hanging out there to kind of check out what an event looks like. I don't think that they're very like super into the competitive scene for the paper trading card game, but obviously like when you see the decks that they brought, you can tell that they've definitely played a fair amount of Pokemon Pocket. So basically for day one, they noticed that, hey, I just heard an announcement about a Pokemon Pocket tournament. And so this kind of talks about it right here in the article. But basically, like if you've never been to an in real life tournament event for like any card game, usually there's like a main event for these big events, and then there's like side events, right? So there's like, even going back to like my Yu-Gi-Oh days, we would see like giant card events. We would see, you know, 3v3 tournaments. In the Magic the Gathering community, it's the same way. They would have like, you know, 3v3 tournaments. I think it was like three-headed giant or something like that is what they called it in Magic the Gathering. They'd have drafts, so sealed, limited, stuff like that. But again, like there was a lot of different formats that are offered, and it just so happened that this is the first time we're really getting like a report of TCG Pocket getting an event, like a side event that's official, right? At a Pokemon trading card game regional. So like that's why this is big news, right? And you've seen my other video most likely. If you haven't, you should definitely check it out. But basically, one of the videos that I've made in the past is talking about how they decided to not have Pokemon Pocket be a competitive game, but that could change in the future. And then literally 8 hours later, the leaker told us about ranked, and then a month later ranked came out. So like there's definitely some progress on this front in terms of getting TCG Pocket potentially into more events. And hey, the ultimate goal would be like a Worlds event, right? So again, this was really cool, and you can kind of see you know, these scheduled events are something that they mentioned. And again, they talked about seeing TCG Pocket there. So this was kind of the breakdown of how the event worked, because like the rules are actually another big topic. So basically, they went and signed up for this Pokemon Pocket side event, and the only thing was that you had to like kind of look at a QR code, scan it, pay for the event, and then, you know, run to the other side of the event to find the tables where the matches took place. So, you know, they kind of mentioned in this article that, hey, the advertising for these events probably needs to get a little bit better. And it turns out that there was actually like a little bit of an advertisement for it on the Fanfinity GG website, and it talks about it right here. Let's see if I can find it. But yeah, it's so again, it was like on the website, you know, for like reference. But again, I don't necessarily see it, but they said that it is, so I'm taking their word for it. But anyways, when you take a look at like the turnout, so the turnout was like super small. I think part of it is due to like not a lot of people realizing, first of all, that Pocket like even has this thing, right? And I think the other thing was like if the advertising was like not as great as people kind of like are mentioning right here, maybe some people didn't even know that like it was going on. So yeah, there's multiple things like kind of leading to why like there was only like 4 people that showed up, and then I think in day 1 they mentioned that there was only 1 person that showed up. So very small events, but again, hey, baby steps. So this was the format. So the format was basically a 2-deck format. Okay, so they called it the double deck event, right? And a lot of people are going to be reminded of stuff like Conquest format from other games such as Hearthstone. And to basically sum it up in very short form, you bring 2 decks and both decks have to win in order for you to win the round. And as soon as you win, that deck is eliminated. Okay? If you lose with a deck, you still keep playing until you win with that deck or until you're eliminated, right? So it's a best of 3, but you bring 2 different decks basically. Okay, and you do submit a deck list, and the rules are that Pokemon cannot be shared in either deck list. So you can't play Mew EX, for example, in both of your decks that you submit. You basically have to decide like what deck is going to play those tech Pokemon, right? So like Druddigon will not be a Pokemon that you can bring in both decks. So you're gonna have to decide where you want to play Druddigon when you bring it into this 2-deck lineup. And the other thing to think about, like as you're kind of like trying to plan what 2 decks you would bring, you basically want to bring a deck that can counter each other's weaknesses, right? So like if you bring an electric deck that's weak to fighting, you probably like want to look at bringing something that doesn't auto lose to fighting as well, right? So you probably wouldn't want to bring like a electric deck and a normal deck, right? Because a lot of normal Pokemon are weak to fighting as well. Obviously there's some that are weak to electric, but again, like, so you do have a little bit of like skill in terms of like what decks do you bring. And looking at their decks that they submitted, they brought Articuno EX 18 trainer, I would assume, right? And then Executor Arceus Carnivine. So two different decks. And interestingly enough, shout out to Dai, who is in one of the Discords that I'm in. Very popular player in terms of the GGB community and some of the tournaments as well. And Dai was like, oh, first thing I noticed is this deck is weak to Arceus Dialga, basically, so, or both of these decks are. And like, that's very relevant, right? Like, so if you're building a lineup, you want to make sure that you can't just get steamrolled by, one type, or you can't get steamrolled by like the best deck in the format in a lot of metrics. So yeah, there's a lot of skill that does go into this, and it is different than the GGB Team Battle League that I've been talking about in the past couple of videos, and then I got to live stream the grand finals. And like the big difference is like you can sweep with one deck in that GGB format, right? But in this format, you do have to basically plan on both of your decks winning. So again, some of the rules are on the sheet, and like I think the big thing to kind of like point out too is like you can't share Pokemon across your deck list, but like according to the rules, if a Pokemon is an EX, then it has the same name. It has the name Pokemon EX. Example, Mew and Mew EX are different Pokemon. So like I guess in theory, according to this, you could play Gyarados EX and then you could play the regular just like genetic Apex Gyarados. So in like your other deck, right? So again, like there is a little bit of like, is there ever going to be a Pokemon where like maybe you play the EX in one deck and then the non-EX in the other? Maybe not, but again, like that's definitely something that some people may look at, right? Who knows, right? But again, it kind of just goes through the rest of the rules right here in this article, and trainer cards are not written, so like they're just kind of like something that's a mystery. And from what I understand as well, you actually like don't know your opponent's deck list. Like you don't get to see their deck list, so it's not. From what I understand, it's not open deck list, right? And like that's a big change and like a pretty good discussion in the community. Like, does having your opponent's deck list, does that make the game more skillful, or does having a closed deck format, does that make the game more skillful? And like, it's a pretty interesting debate. the thing that I would point out about that debate is, yes, it is a little bit easier when I know exactly what cards my opponent has in their deck versus I have to like choose whether to take a safer play line because I don't know what's in my opponent's deck. You know, like cards like Giovanni can flip the game, and if I don't know if your deck is running it, then I kind of have to respect it, right? So there's a bunch of different interactions like that, and some people would say that's skillful. Some people would say like that's just playing percentages. You know, that's a whole different debate. But again, really fascinating to see this. Let me know what you think about this format, and definitely stay tuned to the channel because I am really excited to see what the rest of the set looks like with the Shining Revelry set. So again, we got a lot of stuff coming up in the next few days, and hopefully you tune into the live stream whenever I get to play the brand new cards as soon as they release on this channel. So until then, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you for being a part of this experience. Thanks for making me or allowing me to be background noise, maybe entertainment, or hey, maybe you learned something. But until next time, I'll catch you later. Peace.